Hello and welcome back. Totally different video again this time. As you know, this last 2-3 years or more, I've been talking about replacing my old e-bike, my Volt Pulse. I have 2 Volt Pulses, and I've done reviews about those, and they've been great bikes to ride. They're still going okay. The original Volt Pulse, which is now 10 years old, you know, is showing signs of wear. It's very loose, if you understand that. You know, I think there's a lot of components in its life, in its 10-year life. It's done many miles. It's had a new chain and a new freewheel, and it's probably due those again. But I'm not spending any more money on it because although it's had a new battery in that 10 years, it's only had 2 batteries in 10 years. I'm not going to, spend X amount of money on putting another brand new battery on it. I thought, I'd have a look around and see what I could find that was competitive. My cycling needs and habits have changed a little bit. I'm probably not going such long distances now, so, range is not an issue to me. And I was basically looking for something more on a budget. I did go back to Volt. I know I have, through my reviews on YouTube and talking to people, and some local people as well, I must have sold well over, the ones that I know about, I've convinced people and sold, people to buy Volt bikes, at least 10. So when you think about it, these bikes are well over £1,000 each. One couple I know bought 2 of their top range folding bikes, going on my recommendation or how I'd got on with my Volt, and they've loved them. I'm pleased to say. So yeah, I'd done these recommendations. I'd always praise them, in my videos. I didn't like their customer service, I have to say. I think that was pretty poor. And so I went back to Volt and said, look, I'm looking for a new e-bike. And I like they've got a model out at the moment called the Infinity, which is one of their top of the range bikes. And that's just a few pounds, and I think it is a few pounds, under £3,000. And they, diddled about and ummed and ahed, and eventually gave me a little bit of discount off that. And I was also looking at a Cube model, a Cube Kathmandu, which there again was up around that price, and that was on sale as well. But the bike shop selling that would do me a real good deal, and I went back to Volt and said, look, I can buy this bike, for X, will you match it? No, Volt wouldn't. They didn't want to know, kind of thing. So I thought, right, that's it. That ends my association with Volt bikes. And I still like them. I've nothing against them. It's nothing personal, and I wasn't looking for any sort of freebies here. I was, just looking for a little bit of discount. That's all, basically, or the best discount that I could get. So I didn't buy the Kathmandu Cube. I thought it's a lot of money for a bike to be sitting in the garage most of the time, realistically. So I kept looking around, and then an ad popped up on my computer one day about a Yamaha e-bike, an RC Crosscore model. There was a lot of things I didn't like about it, but it got some. I had a look at 1 or 2 YouTubes that had been done on this bike, and people seemed to think it was okay, and it had got, for want of a better word, medium spec components it was built with. It seemed as though it was quite a nice put together bike. They were happy. The range varied, obviously, as all bikes, on conditions and temperature and how many hills you're going up, and and so many things, your weight. It's difficult to put a hard and fast figure on these e-bike ranges on the pedal assisted mode, but it seemed fair enough on the Yamaha. So I went to Yamaha and said, look, you know, I've always liked the products that you've done. I've had a bit strange saying this, but I had a in the 1980s I had a big Yamaha keyboard, HX1, and I also had in my youth, my misspent youth, I had big Yamaha outboard motors on inflatable sports boats, and thought their products back then were brilliant, you know, and I explained this and said, you know, I'm looking for an e-bike. I'm quite happy to review it. You know, I looked the retail price of the Yamaha Crosscore RC, I think, was originally about 2,600. So not necessarily a cheap e-bike, but I noticed it had had some money off it, and you know, looking at some of the dealers were selling it for about 2,200. I went to a Yamaha Direct and told them all this, you know, all this gump kind of thing and all the rest of it, and they came back with an unbelievable. Well, I had to email them back and said, you know, that is the price. You've not made a mistake. He said, no. You know, he came back to me, no, that's what we'll do it for. And I mean, I think this model probably is going to be discontinued in time. I'll come on to that in a little bit later on. But they did it just over the £1,000 mark. So to me, that was a bargain, really. You know, and I'm sure it'll do me very well. So I'll turn the camera around now, and we'll have a look at this Yamaha Crosscore and show you what I think to it. So there we go. It's in rather an attractive sort of, I think it's a sagey kind of green colour, which I quite liked. I picked that. There was a couple of colours you could pick. I have to say, I bought it directly online from Yamaha. Delivery was a bit of a cock-up, but that wasn't really due to Yamaha, I don't think. That was due to the courier firm that was bringing it, but it got here in the end. And I have to say, it was one of the most beautifully packed bikes I've ever received. The biggest cardboard box you could imagine, and it came. All I've done, this was a few weeks ago, because I just haven't had time with my gardening and other commitments to do anything with this bike yet. All I've done is took it out the box and stored it, you know, in my workshop, come bike store, and so yes, it was very well packed, and I have to say, in a really strong cardboard box. The cardboard was nearly like wood, you know, it was nearly like it was in like a crate, and it come as you see it with both wheels on. It doesn't have the pedals on. I've got the pedals over in a couple of boxes there, and I have to say, it looks a very, you know, smart bike. As I say, I don't think it's got the highest spec components. I think, you know, as other people said, they're pretty mid-range components this bike is built with, so let's look at the features first of all that I don't like about this bike. And first of all, I think what lets it down for this country is it doesn't come with any mud guards, as you'll see. So I picked this up. I did, you know, say to Yamaha, you know, when I was looking at this bike, you know, shame it doesn't come with mud guards for the UK, you know, I mean, so they said, oh, don't worry, you can, I think it was I can't remember, I think it was under £40. Oh, don't worry, you can buy a Yamaha kit of mud guards for the Crosscore. So that's no problem. And I said, obviously, the next thing I'm going to say is it also doesn't come with a rack. And I like a couple of panniers on the back to keep my locks and various other bits and pieces. Oh, don't worry, Yamaha said, no, it's all right. You know, we also do a rack kit, which I think was about £60. So, you know, altogether, mud guards and a rack, another £100. Well, that's not going to break the bank, I thought. Anyway, when I started looking into this, and I started looking and went to Yamaha's accessories page, the mudguards and the rack were out of stock. So I went back directly to Yamaha and said, you know, well, that's a bit, yeah, it's a great thing kind of thing. I bought the bike, but now, you know, you can't supply me with the rack and the mudguards. So they ummed and ahed and said, well, yes, we're out of stock at the moment. They are going to come back into stock. Yeah, it's a question of waiting. Right, fine. In the meantime, I had found online a Yamaha dealer. It was a motorcycle dealer that also sold Yamaha e-bikes up in the north of the country. And I see they had a rack still for sale. They didn't have the mudguards, they were out of stock, but so I ordered the rack from them. And within a few hours I had a message come through saying that, sorry, the rack should have been taken off the site. They'd sold out of racks and it was now out of stock. I emailed who seemed a very nice guy at this place up in the north, this dealer, the Yamaha dealer, and I emailed him and said, you know, Yamaha told me that these items are going to come back into stock. You know, what's your knowledge on this? He said, well, and he came back, this was all via email, he came back to me and said, well, I can tell you we've had a directive through from Yamaha to say that obviously Yamaha aren't going to make any more mudguard kits or rack kits for this particular bike, because as I say, I think it is eventually going to be discontinued, this model, or a new model brought out. So that was a good start. So I've had to go and buy some mudguards and a rack elsewhere, but the strange thing is I think I bought better quality than the Yamaha ones for less than the Yamaha rack and mudguards were going to cost. But obviously I've got to fit them, and hopefully mudguards are a bit of a nightmare on bikes because I'm just hoping I've got the right ones that'll fit, but time will tell on that. So that's what I don't like about it. No mudguards, no rack. It has got the kind of motor I've never had, one of these almost like the Bosch type motors on it. You know, I've always had motors in the wheel, so that'll be a new experience. And as I say, it seems a very well put together bike. As I say, I don't think the components are, you know, top of the range. I've just looked at the tyres. Another thing I don't like, it's got these horrible Presta valves. I never get on with them, but we shall have to live with those. I used to have them on my Doors Super Galaxy touring bike, and they were devil of a things I used to find, but there we go. And the tyres look very cheap tyres from China. I think eventually I shall buy some better tyres for it. But overall, you know, for what I've paid for this bike, it is absolutely amazing value, and I'm not going to complain. You know, stuff the rack and the mudguards and the rest of it, you know, just over £1,000. That included delivery as well to my door, as I say. So I think that is excellent value, and yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It looks a fair old bike, to be honest. And so what I'm going to do now, and also all credit to Yamaha, you do get a very good owner's manual, which as you see is quite thick, an excellent owner's manual. You know, the Volt manuals, in my view, were a load of rubbish, quite honestly, and if you wanted any help, they're one of the most unhelpful, as I say, customer services there. Obviously, it doesn't come with the pedals. I've got the pedals to fit there, and we'll get on and put those on. So I haven't ridden it yet, and you even, as you'd expect with Yamaha, like their engines, you get a wonderful toolkit. You can get a wonderful spanner with Yamaha on it for the pedals. So I've spent the afternoon fitting the mudguards on this bike, which wasn't too difficult. I'll explain more on that in a moment. And I've also fitted the rear rack. this was just basic items bought from an online bike shop. As I say, I think the mudguards and the rack, I think the total price was about £60, and as I said, that's a lot less than the Yamaha accessories if you could get them, and you can't get them anymore anyway. The rear mudguard fitted really easily and well. I'm quite pleased with that. The front one was not so easy. Yamaha, if I come in a little bit there, Yamaha in their wisdom had not put any holes or any fixings where you normally have a little eyelet there or somewhere around here, but there's nothing at all. There was a threaded plugged up hole there, which is threaded with my under my finger. So what I've had to do is I will spray them black. They've just been, because they're only mild steel, I've had to make a couple of little brackets, these grey little brackets up myself, to fit the mudguards onto the two fixings that I had here. So obviously then that makes these arms a little bit on the short side, but it's a mudguard, and you know, it's fitted okay, and if it lasts a little while it'll be fine, because you know, I can perhaps look at buying something that's more suited to this particular bike. Mudguards, that when I was looking at mudguards, bike shops said, oh, you know, you've got to be so careful, because some bikes they fit, some bikes they don't fit. And as I say, these are just standard. I will got the cardboard with the names of these on if you want to know what I've fitted to this. If you've got one of these Yamaha cross-court RC bikes and you want to fit mudguards, because I think this bike, so if I come back out again, I think this bike looks so much better now with mudguards and a rack on it. To me, that finishes it off. You know, it's not a road bike, it's not a bike you're going, you know, racing down the road on. It's more of a commuter leisure bike, I would say, you know, or to commute on. And so a rack and mudguards, in my estimation, are far more important, you know, and I just think it looks so much better. You know, it just finishes it off to me. Perhaps that's me, and you know, as I say, but overall I'm delighted with it. And as I say, we'll come back and I should do another video, you know, out on the road trying it, see how I get on with it. You know, so I still haven't ridden it because I've been fitting these parts. One thing that did make me smile, and you know, the way the Japanese build things, you get a little toolkit. I've not got it all here, but you do get a little toolkit with the bike, and would you believe you even get a little plastic torque wrench. Is it Newton meters or Newton something, the force these days, and in the handbook, in that lovely handbook that I showed, you know, earlier on in this video, it gives you the torques that, you know, things need to be torqued at, and you've even got a little torque wrench. I think that's, you know, I've never had that with a bike before, and it made me smile. And as I say, you do get quite a few nice little tools actually, in which I shall keep with the bike, and that comes with them like a multi-tool head, and these fit then as well into that. So yeah, one or two nice little features there, you know, as I say, but I do think, you know, the mudguards and the rack do finish it off. I shall get some panniers for this bike as well, because I like to have panniers. It's somewhere to keep a coat or a lock, or if you want to go and buy something, you know, not too big, it's ideal then. So there we go, that is the Yamaha Cross-Core RC, and that is my new bike. And as I say, I only paid just over £1,000 for this bike, so I'm delighted with that, you know, figure. I think that's, you know, a really good buy at that price, and we'll see how we get on with it. So if you are interested, the mudguards were Blumel's, and they were those down there if you're interested. Hopefully, you know, you can pause the video and have a look at that. That's the dimensions, and they were a basic mudguard, nicely made with lots of different fittings and quite easy to follow instructions. Bit of a fiddle to fit them. I'm not going to say it's easy, and you've got to allow a few hours to do it. And the rack was that particular rack. There again, that was very easy to fit, and luckily Yamaha had made two nice threaded holes there to put the bolts through, so it's dead easy then really. So as always, many thanks for watching. Do come back if you'd like to see me on the road on this, see how I get on in a future video. Until that point, as always, my best wishes, thanks for watching, do take care, and I'll be back with you very soon with another video about something probably totally different again. Until then, my best wishes and bye for now.